Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of our weekly coaching webinar. I'm really glad everybody could join us. So today we're going to be talking about events. We actually just wrapped up an event in Arkansas and made me realize that we've never really done a webinar on events and everything you need to know about events. So I'm going to talk through this with you over the next hour or so. We're going to talk a little bit about where to go to get events, how to find the people that are hosting events. We're going to talk about the signage that you put on, what you actually present at the events. Basically everything that you need to know to make going to events, presenting at events, and selling at events a successful proposition for you. So I will apologize in advance. I am working from the home office today. In about 15 to 30 minutes, I'm going to have a little bit of loud noise and an interruption. I've got somebody coming over to grab something, and that'll set my dogs a little bit crazy. So apologize in advance for that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about events, why you want to do events. So there's all kinds of different events you can go to. First events we ever went to were the credit boot camp hosted by Dispute Suite for the credit repair industry. And an event like that, it's not uncommon for us to do $100,000 to $150,000 in sales at the event. That's exactly why you do events. Events create a bunch of urgency, and I'll just kind of pull up one of our event flyers here to show you that. But events create a lot of urgency. So what happens at events is a lot of people are seeing you for the first time. They've never seen you before. They don't know what you're offering. So what happens is when you promote, like we always have a special that expires, the last day of the event where they could get bonuses, get a discount, etc. Well, when we're able to do this, what happens is you've got people that come in and basically want to buy because there's urgency. They've got a deadline, an offer that expires, and they want to get the deal. If you make the deal that they're getting really good savings and again, bonuses that make sense, then what happens is they don't want to leave that event thinking they may never see or hear from you again. So it initiates all kinds of buying action, all kinds of urgency. As a matter of fact, beyond that, you've got a lot of other people buying as well. When you have it done the right way, when you have the table set up the right way, those type of things, then what happens is you're then able to come in and a lot of other people see other people taking action, and that prompts them to want to take action. So events are probably the best place to go to sell for those two reasons. That one is that there's urgency created. So people have a real deadline here to be able to buy that creates the urgency. They also don't know if they're ever going to see you again. So there's that worry that they'll actually lose out, that they're not going to be able to actually purchase from you. So it's a really good thing to do because of that. You create that urgency. They think they may never get a buy from you again. Now the question becomes what kind of events to go to. Well, I think that's an experimental thing. For us, we always go to, credit repair events. That's where we started. So for example, Credit Repair Expo is the next one I think that's coming up. So for us, we got our start in the credit repair industry at Credit Boot Camp. That always did very well for us. So because we know that that event did very well for us, then now what we do is we really focus on going to other events that are similar in the industry. Now, luckily for us, people like Daniel and Keenan here with Credit Repair Expo, or Matt Listro with Credit Con, these guys, or even Derek Harper with Credit Fest. It used to be only one event for the industry, and now we start to see that there's a lot of these type of events. Now, the good thing is that we understand what we're looking for. We understand that we're looking for credit-related industries. So because of that, it's fairly simple for us to find the ones that are the ones that we want, right? We know Credit Repair Expo here does theirs, and they're going to be in Dallas next. They did one in Orlando. Then we also know that there's Credit Con that's in Las Vegas, right? Credit Fest was down here in Miami. It's going to be in Tampa next year. So we're able to then go find all the events in this industry, and it makes it fairly simple for us to find the events that we actually want. I recommend the same thing for you as well. If you hone in on one or two industries, it's going to be much easier for you to be able to find the events that you want, because once you do so, then you can just kind of come in here to Google and just type in what you want. So if I'm looking to go to digital marketing conferences, for example, and I type in digital marketing conferences 2019, well, there's a lot of these, some actual events, and then there's a lot of these that will just give me lists, the best events to attend, right? So since I'm local here, I think I saw someone that actually popped up here that have to do with a Tampa Digital Summit because I'm local. So Google is picking that up and is giving me events that are local here. So again, the nice thing is that you're able to figure out what niche you want, 1, 2, or 3, and then with the help of places like Google, you're able to come in here and do some research, or have a list builder do research of all the ones you want. So if you're on a budget, that's what I would do. I would come in and get a list builder off of Upwork and hire them for $2-3 an hour, probably $3 an hour, and then just have them go through and find a list of all the events that you do want. So if you want digital marketing, well, then they go through, they Google digital marketing, and then they come through and find all these events. Maybe in one column, they put the name of the event. The next column, they put this URL here. The next column, they put the actual date. Okay, then they're doing a lot of that research for you. So the same thing, let's say that you're wanting to get into real estate. So let's say we want to get into real estate investing. Well, if you could just come into Google and type in real estate investing conferences, you're going to find a lot of these that will come up and that will even tell you, hey, the top 10 or the top 20, or here's 10 commercial real estate conferences to attend, 100 real estate events, trade fairs, conferences, right? So again, a good list builder can grab one of these and then go through and just list them all. I mean, what else do you need? Here's 100 of them in one page, right? Then you can even come through and tell a list builder, look, I only want ones in the United States. So that rules out Canada, China, all those. So you could set the parameters of the ones that you want. Now, another one is you can use services like this. This is GroupHigh, and GroupHigh really allows you an opportunity to basically find influencers, okay? That being said, you know, that would work really well if you kind of have an idea, again, of the industries that you want to find. And here's why. Because a lot of people that are bigger that are bigger influencers are then, you know, also going to have events. So we just did an event, you know, that, for example, she's an influencer. So as a result of that, you know, she's already on GroupHigh as an influencer because she's got a ton of Instagram followings. Okay, so as a result, let me see if I can actually go back and actually show you that. I don't know if I can or not. So let me go to search and see if I can find. Okay, so her name is Ashley. Here we go, is Ashley Ann. So for example, when we search her, and I don't even think she's on here yet, I'm not sure. Okay, that's a bad example. Let's go back. So again, the key here is to figure out what industries you want to find. Once you find those industries, then you can go to Google, you can go to a place like GroupHigh. Now we pay for GroupHigh, and GroupHigh is a great place to go to actually find influencers. But again, the other nice thing, if it would pull up here, is that you're also able to come in here, find influencers who then also may have events. So I'm able to come in here, for example, and let me go to see if I can go to search again, see if I can find the business credit search. So if I'm interested in business credit conferences, I'm able to come in and find the actual influencers there, and then I'm able from there to figure out the conferences they may have. So let me go, instead of Instagram influencers, let me go to all outlets and see what comes up here. And this will pull up a list of a lot of the influencers in the industry, right? So this allows me an opportunity to then come to any of these that may look like they're a good fit, and then actually see if they actually do have events or they don't have events. So a couple different ways, but probably one of the best is to find your niche, go to Google, start having a list builder, make a list, set parameters of what you want, and then you can come in with the list and start narrowing down to see if those will actually fit your description, fit what you want. Speaking of what you want, we recently created this. We have not tested this yet. I will make sure this is available for download in your back office as well. And this is called an Vent Scorecard. And what this is designed to do is this is designed to help us determine if we should do an event or not. So you can see here that we're basically coming in and asking 5 different scored questions. Then we're also offering them asking some other questions as well to determine if they're a good fit for us. So here's the first question. How long has your event been running? We give them 1 point for the 3rd year. They get 0 points on the scale for year 1 and 2. On the 3rd year, they get a point, and they get a point for every year thereafter for a max of 4 points. So if they've been doing this for 7 years, well, they get a point for year 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a total of 4 points for that question. And the reason for this is that obviously people that have experience in running events and that have a seasoned event are more familiar with running events. They're going to be good at filling that room. They're going to have experience of getting people there. They're going to give you fairly accurate estimates, most cases, of what they think is going to happen regarding attendees. Okay, how many times per year do you do an event? 2 plus is 1 point. So if we have somebody that's so busy, so much of an influencer, that they actually are doing 2 events a year, well, we're going to give them extra points because, again, somebody that's doing multiple events in a year, very difficult to do. That's somebody that's seasoned at doing events. Next question, do you use an event planner or have a dedicated team for the event? 3 points for an event planner, 2 points for a team, 1 point for a team member handling it, no points if they're doing it themselves. This is telltale. If you're doing your own event, it's your experience, it's making a lot of money for you, then what you're doing is you're coming in and you're hiring an event planner to handle it for you. Once it gets really big, well, then you've got a dedicated team internally or a team member that's handling it, okay? So this is why you're getting scores here. And again, you might start with a team member that helps and then a team inside that helps and then move to an event planner. You may work backwards, but the bottom line is if somebody else or a team is handling this for you, then the best thing to do, then that's a really good indicator here that you're going to have something that's going to succeed because they've got experience running events. They've got people running events that are experienced. So to give you an example here, when we go back to Credit Repair Expo, okay, the very first event I did with these guys was in a fairly small room. I think there was like 100 to 200 people there. I could be wrong. I think that's a fairly accurate estimate, okay, of what was of who was actually there. Actually, hold on for just 1 second. Sorry, I had technical difficulties there. Okay, so after that first event, they said, look, the next event, we're going to have 300, 400, 500 people there. And what they did was they hired an event coordinator. And sure enough, the second event, I don't know how many they had, but they doubled their attendance. Very difficult to do at events to go from 100, 200 to 300, 400 people, but they did it. They did it because they brought in an event coordinator, or event planner. And as a matter of fact, they're doing that again next year, and they're expecting to get up to 500 to 1,000 people. And they'll continue to double because they have somebody that knows what they're doing scheduling the event. Same thing with Derek Harper. Derek Harper was able to fill about 200 people plus in a room for Credit Fest. Now he's got an event planner helping coordinate, and we're helping him along with that too, the event for next year. And the expectation is to have nearly 500 people there. It's only typically possible if you have an event planner getting involved. Okay, next question. How many attendees did you have at your last event? Okay, 100 to 200 attendees, 1 point, 2 points for 200 to 500, 500 to 4 points. Now, this is a tested model. We don't know if this is going to work with the point scale that we've determined. This is just a theory. But again, the questions are still good. We still have to fine tune the points based on our actual putting this into action. But how many attendees do you have at your last event is very, very, very good question. You never want to ask how many people they think they're going to have at this event. You can, but you shouldn't really rely on that data. Let me give you an example. Okay, the event we just attended, the expectation was between 700 and 1,000 people is what we were told. When I presented on stage, there was about 175 people there. So you can imagine making plans, putting in the cost for a 1,000-person event when less than 20% of that amount of people are actually there. So one of your best indicators of how many are really going to be there is how many were at the last event. They're typically going to be able to get it pretty close to where they've gotten before. Okay, so again, if they've had a good attendance at the last event, it's a pretty good indicator that this next one could work out pretty well. Okay, sold at event continuity of $100 a month or 1,000 more. So what we're saying here is that you, as the event coordinator, sold, or the event host, sold stuff at the event, and you sold it for $100 a month product, or something that costs $1,000 or more. What we're trying to basically do here is we're basically trying to come in and say, hey, look, is your audience used to buying stuff? Like, it's not good enough that you fill a room if those people are broke and don't buy. We want people there that are going to buy. People that buy have already bought before. So have you had success selling a monthly recurring product or a big, larger ticket item at the event? If so, well, then you should get points. And then based on that, the max of 18 points they can get. 13 is what we really want to see. 13 would make for a pretty good event that we would book if they scored 13 out of 18 points there. Now, we also asked 3 other questions. How do you define success in terms of success for you and your followers? Okay, how do you define success? When it comes to this, what does success look like to you? Very good question. No matter what you're doing in business, this is a fantastic question, because when you're doing this, you're basically coming in and asking them, how do you define success? Okay. Now, Leo says, when are you going to have a seminar that you're doing a live event presentation so that I can attend to watch you and live and learn? Well, keep an eye on our Facebook page. What we're going to do is make sure that our schedule is on our Facebook events. So if you go to Facebook events, it'll tell you when and where we are. And then we're also planning in January of 2020 an event down here, low, small event, probably 50 people that are prospects. We're going to probably bring in 25 of our partners just for one day of exclusive training. So you get a chance there as well. But again, keep an eye on our events page on Facebook. I need to have them book our events that we have for the rest of the year on that page, and I will make sure that's there for you, Leo. So next question, do you have any fears or concerns about your current business environment or the JV, or this was a webinar question, or basically, do you have any concerns about your current business environment or the event in particular? And what makes an event offering out, or what makes a JV offer, which is what we're basically doing, joint venture offer with them, what makes it outstanding and reliable? So these are just questions that basically we want to know what it looks like. What does success look like if they had a good event? And if we're a partner at the event, a vendor, how does it look like with us as a vendor? What does success look like? We want to meet their expectations or exceed them. But this is what matters most, is really these 5 questions. How long has it been running? How many times a year do they do it? Is a professional planning it? How many attendees came last time? Are they used to selling stuff at the event? These will give you a pretty good idea of whether or not that event should be successful. Now, this isn't foolproof. We don't know yet. I'll give you an example. The last one that we just did was with a great influencer. Okay, she does about 6 events for Google a year, many of her other ones. I mean, probably 8 to 10 events a year. Her last event she had over 500 attendees. This one, she had over 500 registrants. They gave away 150 free tickets. Everything was a good indicator. If we look at this, how long has she been running events? 7 years. Okay, how many events does she do per year? More than 6. Okay, does she use an event planner? She doesn't, but she does have somebody on her team that helps her. How many attendees did she have? She had good attendees last time, and they sell a lot at the event. This event was not good at all. It did not work out well, okay, because of 2 reasons really. One was the hurricane that came in. It changed a lot of people's travel. A lot of people couldn't get in. And the second was she decided to do it on her Labor Day weekend, which is a really bad weekend to do any kind of events because the kids are out of school, especially down here in Florida when we had a hurricane and we're off Tuesday. So everybody down here on the East Coast, what's happened is we had off Monday for the holiday and Tuesday because of the quote unquote storm that was supposed to blow in, right? So people had off all of a sudden a 5-day weekend. So that threw off a lot of people's plans. So I'm telling you this because this isn't foolproof. We just literally walked out of an event where we spent a lot of money to be speakers and we did not make a lot of money in sales because of other circumstances that affected it. But again, we still would have done the event looking at our scorecard because it fit the bill. So this isn't concrete, 100% solid. It's going to give you a promise to give you a good event all the time, but the scorecard will give you some kind of guide on what you need to do. So the other thing that you really want to do is also look at event coordinators, okay? Because event coordinators, they coordinate events all the time. So if you get some event coordinators in your pocket, then it helps you come in and it helps you actually use them to help you get into events. We have an event coordinator we now pay $700 a month for. All she does is helps us line up events. It's money very well spent. She's helping us find 2 good events or more every single month, and we're spending $700. Is that a lot of money? For a lot of people, it is. For the point that we are now as an organization, to have somebody that does all that work for us and finds the best event, it's a great investment because we're all in on events. So again, finding event coordinators, talking to people in your network, going to social media and finding out who in your circle is event coordinators, who in your circle knows event coordinators, going to do a search on Google, having a list builder build a list of event coordinators, looking in your local area here as you'll find on Google for event coordinators, asking them for help, telling them you'll give them money for every event they help you book. Maybe you give them $50, maybe you give them $100 for every event that you help them book. I told you what we're paying ours, make something up. See if you can actually pay them. Hey, what if you find me a good event? I'm looking only for business owners in this niche. I'll pay you $100 a shot. So event coordinators are a great way to go. And another great way to go is to go to events. Okay, events can help you dramatically. I can tell you every event we walk out of with other future events booked. We walk out with other contacts from the events as well. So when we went to Credit Fest, well, then we met Ashley, who then we did this current event with. And trust me, it was not a loss. We did like 75,000 in sales in the webinar leading up to the event, and we'll probably do 100,000 in sales from the event. So in the end, when it's all said and done, we'll have made $175,000 in sales from that event and from a JV webinar leading up to the event, all from an influencer that we actually found at Credit Fest. We didn't find him at Credit Repair Expo. I had their site up, but we did find him at Credit Fest. We met her at Credit Fest. We talked to her. We knew she was a player. How do we know she was a player? Well, even before we had this scorecard made, we had an understanding that these are the things that made events good. How do we know she was good? Well, she's been doing them for a long time. She does many a year. She's got professionals that coordinate it. She had 500 attendees last time. She sells at the events. When we were able to basically get a quick overview that this was the case, then we knew we had somebody else, and we immediately left that event with her, and we booked this event. And now we're booked for 2 more of her events. She felt so bad this one didn't work out. She's going back to 2 spots and letting people come for free to make up for it. And we will be at both of those events with her. So again, one of the best places we found to find the event coordinator we hired for $700 a month. We found her at the event. Okay. So a lot of the events we're now finding, by the way, we've also booked 2 other events at the event we were just at. So we walked out of there with 2 events from Ashley Ann because she felt bad that that event wasn't good. So we're 2 events with her. She also let us in on the 6 other events she's doing with Google in a year. We also found 2 other people with 2 other events and 1 other in Dubai that we're sending videos with as well. So 1 event we walked out with basically 10 other future events because we went to the 1. So I tell you this because even if you find events like this that you can't afford to go to as vendors, you still should go yourself just to test it out. Take a look around, okay? See what's there, okay? We did a huge event. Let me see if I can find this. Trucking events, Iowa truck stop. So we actually sent people to a truck stop in Iowa for Trucker Jamboree just to test it out. We didn't spend a lot of money to be there, but we knew that trucking were our perfect clientele. And so we went in there just to see if this was somewhere we could succeed, or if not, walk out with the places we could succeed. We failed miserably. We made no sales. It was a horrible environment to go sell, but we walked out again with a great contact of somebody that's a major influencer in the arena that does radio and podcasting that we're going to move forward and get on their stuff, his show, get exposure with him. And we also found out the best trucking event in the country to sell our product. So we were able to get a ton of feedback and make a decision from there. So that's one of my best pieces of advice for you is when you start honing in on an event, go by yourself, send a team member by themselves. Do not typically go your first year as vendors. Do not spend a lot of money. I can tell you more times than not, we've spent money to be at an event and then lost that money than we've been paid money to be at events to test that have actually succeeded. Now, if it's a no-brainer for us, like the credit industry, we don't care, right? Like we'll spend the money to go to a brand new, like we spent the money to go to Credit Repair Expo for the first time. We spent the money to go to Credit Fest for the first time. We spent the money not to go to the first Credit Con, but we went to the first events because we knew that these events in this industry could do very well for us. And also because we wanted to give as much as possible. We helped these guys find the speakers for the first event. We helped as many ways as we could because when you help all these people that are getting their events off the ground, typically there's a good chance they're going to remember you in the future. And as luck would have it, you know, Keenan and Daniel and I've become really good friends with these guys. These guys are fantastic and love what they're doing. But part of that's because we not only went to the first event, we helped come in and coordinate, help them get some of the speakers, get some of the things that they needed for the event to be successful. And now as a result of that, we're remembered and have a chance of getting in on future years. So even though it might be an event for the first time, if it's in your industry, why not go to that event? Okay, go be a speaker, spend the money, because even if it's not a huge success, you do a bunch of goodwill that then allows you an opportunity to then come back and then also get a chance to come back and be able to speak again. And you can see a lot of the pictures from that first event right there where we were in that first room. So again, a lot of really cool ways you can find events here, find a niche, go to coordinators, find the ones in your industry, build a list, do any of these type of things, use services like Group High to find your influencers. Any of those are great ways to actually come in and find your events. Now, when you find your events, the next thing you really want to do is you need to figure out if you're going to be vendors or not. Okay, that means you need to decide whether or not you're going to go for an attendee and be networking, or whether or not you're actually going to have a booth set up and you're actually going to sell from that actual event. Now, if you find an event like this one, typically you're going to find some kind of stuff here that may help you with actually being able to get in and be an actual exhibitor. So I can see here, I found exhibitor info. I'm just going to click on exhibitor info and see where it takes me. So again, a lot of them have these type of things. You can see the vendor booths here, so they give you an idea of what it looks like. We can see I can reserve a booth. I can get the exhibitor rules, regulations, all that. So let me go to reserve a booth, and this should tell me, okay, so we can see that they are not open yet, and that's okay. That would mean I'd want to call them for potential pricing. But again, when you find their website, and this just took place, by the way, less than a month ago, I think. So again, with this, you're able to find a lot of information and get a pretty good idea of what it is based on the information that's on their website. So the next thing you want to do is really figure out whether you're going to be a vendor there or not. How we determine that is just strictly based on cost. It's just that simple. Some vendor opportunities are $1,000. So this was like $600, $800 to go to. Okay, other ones could cost you $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000. Now, usually when it comes to vendors, they give you a lot of options. I will tell you, I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm telling you from experience, all those upgrades of sponsoring a breakfast or sponsoring a lunch or sponsoring swag and having your logo on the shirts, none of those has paid off for us, none. I'm not a big fan of that stuff. I think you should put your money in getting your team to the event, your booth set up, and I think you should also put your money into actually being a vendor or a speaker. I'm not big on sponsoring breakfasts and sponsoring lunches and paying them to do that and getting on their shirts and on their swag. That's not me. I think the money's better well spent to be a vendor and to be a speaker. If I have the absolute best case scenario, one, I'm going to be a speaker. I'm going to speak in front of the group. If you speak in front of the group, you get instant credibility. You will make a lot more sales if you are a speaker. In some places like Credit Repair Expo, that's super simple to do because, again, what happens there is I have experience, right? So I have experience being a speaker in this industry, so it's very simple for me to be able to do this. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. So I have another question came in from Leo. Will you advise to advertise on radio to promote a live presentation, say at a hotel? Well, look, first of all, if you're going to an event, you shouldn't be advertising. They should be. I don't really aggressively promote other people's events to my database because I don't want to burn my database. For friends, I will do that. Okay, I don't advertise other people's event. And if I was going to do it on radio, I would not personally do that because I've not personally tested that media. I wouldn't know. If we were going to advertise our own event, we would do it to our own email database and Facebook ads to our own warm audiences. That's what we would do in those situations, okay? To answer that question, hopefully that helps you, Leo. And I think you have another one. I'm talking about doing an event just for yourself. Yeah, if you're doing an event for yourself, I would start with advertising to your own email database. And then I would start with some local relationships, going to accountants, going to attorneys that are in the local area, having them market for you. Also, maybe find a local influencer that you can come and co-host the event. So if I have an attorney that's really big in the local area, if they're going to co-promote the event with me, I'll invite them. We both can be speakers. Maybe I'll have an event with an attorney, accountant, and somebody else there so they can invite their databases as well. That's really good for your own event because you're relying on them to use their own audience and promote it as well. If I was going to spend money, then I would spend money and test on Facebook ads because you could do it really, really, really cheap. I would do that. I'm not saying radio won't work. I just haven't tested the media enough to know if it will or won't. So hopefully that answers your question there, Leo. So again, come in, and the best case scenario is you become a speaker at their events. Best case, you have instant authority. It gives you instant credibility, and that's when you're going to get the most sales. Second best option, you're a vendor at the event. You have actual booth set up, a table, nice table, a lining that says the name of your company on the front of it. Okay, couple side banners on it, and I'll show you what side banners look like. You set up as a vendor at the booth. If they don't know who you are, you're going to have to rely on what happens at that booth to make sales, but better than just being an attendee. And worst case is an attendee where you're just walking around talking to people, networking. You don't even have any exposure at the event. So if I could speak an event, we want to. This one for this trucker jamboree, they didn't have speakers. It was like an exhibit hall. When we did the one that we just did for Accelerate 180, let me see if I can pull up the site for that. Then this one we did pay. As a matter of fact, what we did do was we paid to be a title sponsor here, because we wanted to be the premier sponsor of the actual event, because NAV and a couple of our competitors had a chance to be there, and we didn't want that to happen. Okay, so what happens is on this one, we actually came in and paid to be the title sponsor, and you can see that we're all over a place here. Okay, here's Megan right here. Here I am, okay, and then I think Steve is on here as well. So 3 of our team members were speakers at this event. So we had multiple speaking opportunities. I spoke from stage. Megan was on a panel. Megan had a presentation. Steve had 2 presentations. So we were really featured because we spent the money to be featured. Okay, and it was a lot. It was like $15,000. That's a lot of money for us, for anybody. But you got to think, in that event, with the webinar leading up to it and the event itself, we'll probably make close to $200,000. So this is what you have to ask: is the $15,000 investment worth the $200,000 in return? And it's a gamble anyway. I mean, that 200 didn't just come to us at 200. You know, we are going to have to come in and make that through a webinar, make it through the event, make it through the event cleanup, etc. So again, it comes down to this: can you speak at the event is the question. And if so, how much is it? They'll typically let you be a vendor with a speaking spot if you pay a certain amount of money. When they tell me how much the speaking spot is, it's 15 minutes for X amount of dollars. I ask them how much for me to get 30 minutes, for an hour. And they'll come say, hey, why don't you sponsor this breakfast? Why don't you go on our swag? I'm not interested. I don't want your swag, and I don't want your breakfast. It sounds like an amazing opportunity. It's just not for me. What I want is I want stage time, and I'll pay for the stage time. So how much is it going to cost for me to have 30 minutes to an hour? That's how I always negotiate these things. I'm looking for stage time. It's all I care about. Because if I get on that stage for 30 minutes to an hour, I can do a presentation, establish trust, credibility, rapport, and get people to buy. If I'm never on stage, it's very difficult to get people to buy. Okay. And if I'm on stage for 15 minutes, it's very tough to establish enough value in 15 minutes to get people to buy. So if I'm spending money, I'm spending money for more stage time. And that's exactly what I suggest that you guys do as well, is spend that money to get more stage time. It's worth the investment. The swag, the breakfast, the lunch, that stuff, not so much. Now, I'm not saying that's always the case. So let me give you an example. Okay, we did one for Credit Con in Las Vegas, and Credit Con was a different animal for us. First of all, Matt Listro is a really, really smart guy and really good at hosting events. And that's not what I wanted. It's not. Okay, so let me see if I can find it. But this was an interesting setup, because at Credit Con, what happened was the vendors, instead of being out in the hallway, were actually in the same main room as the speaking was taking place. That model did not work really well for us to make sales. Then it happened. He had somebody come on during lunch, and we never seen that before. He got food for everybody. So everybody was sitting and eating lunch. The whole room was filled because everybody wants free lunch. And then there was somebody up there speaking during that lunch. So now when it comes to next year, we're going to come in and say, Matt, how much do we need to pay to be able to be the speakers at lunch during that event? So again, sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. Sometimes you have to come in and you have to test, you have to show up, you have to be there to see what it all looks like and how it all goes down. We left there and go, okay, first of all, it does not do well for us at all to have a booth in the same room as speakies going on. We learned a valuable lesson. And lesson 2 is, if we're going to speak, then we want to make sure that, 1, nobody is on this another stage at the same time that we are. So what I mean by that is that a lot of these events, when they get as big as CreditCon, this is what happens. When they start, they only have one session going on at a time. Then they get big. They get as big as CreditCon. Okay. As a matter of fact, Credit Repair Expo was like that the first 2 years. Yes, they only had one event going on at a time. Then we came in, and then they grew. And then what happens is you get to a point where there's so many speakers and so many vendors, they can no longer do one event at a time. Now they need 2 speaking sessions going on at the same time. Somebody's on a main stage, somebody's on a smaller stage. The problem, the minute that occurs, the problem is as you can imagine, your attendees start getting split up. You have some in your room and some in the other room. So if you could pay money, you want to pay for exclusivity. I want to be the only speaker on in my speaking time. Can I pay extra for that? Okay. Or you go to an event like this and then you learn that, okay, look, lunchtime was perfect because lunch was brought in. And that means if I could get an hour at lunch, that would be ultimate value. Then go in and ask for it. Go in and ask for what they won't even give you. These events hosts want to make money. They want the vendors to pay for the event if possible. So if I'm able to come into them like I often have done and said, look, I will pay you $1,000 or $2,000 extra, and all I want is an hour speaking spot. They're not used to that. Here's the brilliant part of it. Nobody else is doing that, okay? Okay, so sorry about that. I've got all kinds of tech issues today, and as I mentioned, I didn't mean to be rude, but I have somebody actually at the house that came today to stop in, so sorry about that. So again, what happens is the beautiful thing about that is that nobody's doing that. So you're in a scenario where you've got these people that are coming in and doing 15-minute speaking spots, right? Then you're wise enough to go to the event host and say, hey, I want an hour speaking spot. I want a 2-hour speaking spot, okay? And then as a result of that, you're then able to get an hour speaking spot where everybody else had 15 minutes. I can't tell you how many events I've done this, and I can't tell you how many events the vendors come up and go, how did you do that? What do you mean? How did you get an hour on stage? I only got 15 minutes. Well, I paid for the extra time. Well, I didn't know you could do that. Yeah, you couldn't. I made it happen because I asked. So again, when it comes to events, number one value, get a speaking spot. If you could pay extra to be exclusive, your speaking spot, not side by side against anybody else, okay? And then the third thing beyond that is go ahead and pay money for more speaking time. Don't let them push you into their predetermined little packages where you have swag and lunches and breakfast. Don't do that. Pay for what you want that has the most value. The most value to you is speaking time at these events. I absolutely assure you that it is. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to want to set up your event booth, okay? Now, I don't have a picture, and I should have. This new event setup we have, it's insane, but it costs thousands of dollars, so it wouldn't even make sense to show you to begin with. This is what we've, for the most part, used on all the events that we do. So we come in and we basically, for business credit, do 2 different signs. We do 3. I'll show you the 2 you're going to want to do. We do this one, okay? Getting basically, this is kind of an overview of everything we do. Get capital for your business, improve fundability, build business credit, get financing. And we talk about how we do all 3 things. This is kind of our way of presenting what we do now, okay? What we do is we improve fundability, we build business credit, we get financing. These are the 3 things that we actually do. Now, we also have a second sign, and this is typically dedicated to capital and building business credit. So this one has to do with offering business credit for customers, not one you're going to care about because that's not something you're showing. But here's our funding one. Okay, so we have these real images at the top. We have QR scan codes here that will then take them somewhere. I don't even know where this takes us. Our team added this, but I think it makes sense. And then this will talk about just getting financing and how we help them get financing. These are, I don't know, 6 foot tall, 7 foot tall side signs that are there. Okay, so we've got one sign on the side of our actual booth, one sign on the other side of the booth. You can get signs that go behind them. You can get a tablecloth with like your logo on the front. Okay, for us, I wish I had a picture of this new setup, but with us, basically that's what it is. It's a big table in the middle, 8-foot table with one of these signs set up that's a standing sign on one of each corner, one that talks about business credit, one that talks about financing. That's basically how we do it. Or in our case, one that talks about financing, one that talks about everything, business credit and financing, everything that we do. Okay, so we've got these signs on each side. Now, I'm gonna tell you the next thing we do that people do not do. We get, excuse my language, a big ass TV on our table. I mean, a big ass TV. Okay. If somebody else is there that has a TV, then I'm going to get 10 inches bigger. That's just the way that it is. Like if I have to buy an 80-inch curved TV to outdo everybody there, I'm cool with that. But it never happens, because what happens is nobody gets TVs at these things. And so because we're in such a like TV, video, motion world now, where like motion is what attracts our attention and our eye, when I'm the only one with the TV there, then guess what? I win automatically, because I have all this motion going on at my table nobody else does. So there's one of two ways you can do this. You can well, there's one of three ways. You can either go buy a TV at Walmart, and then, you know, because let's be honest, guys, TVs are $100 to $300 for a 50 to 60-inch TV. And then you could give it away at the event, have a drawing and raffle to give away the TV at the event, or you could sell it to somebody at the event, or you could do the not so cool thing, which is use it and then take it back to Walmart when you're done. Not recommending that, just saying that there are options there of what you do. Option two is you just rent a TV from the event. We just rented a TV for $300, 60-inch TV on like a stand that rolled for the whole event. Could we have bought a TV for $300? Yes, but then we would have had to figure out how to get rid of the TV. So instead, what we realized is we're like, $300, you roll it in, you roll it out. We don't worry about it, man. We're in. Let's do that. So we do make the financial commitment at every event to either go buy a TV or rent a TV from there. And I'll tell you, it's the best investment you're ever going to make, because this is where we use to do demos. When we sell the finance suite at events, we set up the TV and we do demo walkthroughs of the actual back office there. Okay, so we do demo walkthroughs of the back office at the event. We show the business credit builder, the finance of business, the valuations. We show all of that stuff at the event. So what we do now is we now have these little stands that hold iPads, and this is way fancier than any of you guys need to get. I want to show you how we've always done it and how we do it. We started with just sheets of appointment times. Here's your name, here's your email, here's your phone. What time do you want to do a demo? Clipboard, white piece of paper, fill in your information, works the best. So we have clipboards with people's information. Oh, you want to get a demo? We'll schedule your demo. And we schedule demos to show people how they can get business credit financing. Now we have fancy iPads. They walk up to a stand, they hit the button, they input their information there, they schedule their demo. The nice thing about iPads now is that it puts their information into our CRM already, and it already triggers the post-event emails that go. Pretty fancy, completely unnecessary. All you need to have is, again, something they could just fill out, okay, and just to schedule a demo. Then we come and we have a table with the TVs, and we put a bunch of chairs in front of that TV. Again, nobody freaking does this. Think about this. You've seen, how many events have you been to, right? A lot. And how many events have you walked and you see people with their signage and you see people with their little tables? How many people have you ever seen with tables with a whole audience set up in front of it, with the tables all spread out in a format where they could all sit around like an audience to a show and watch the show on the TV? You don't see it, right? That's why we do it. So we set it up because everybody's got their tables behind, the chairs behind their table. Ours are all set up in an audience format, viewing format to look at that screen. And sure enough, every time we do a demo, guess what happens? People walk up and they sit down and they start watching. People stand and they watch. And then guess what happens? More people come, right? Because now you got a big, excuse my language, a big ass TV, and then you got a bunch of people sitting around the big ass TV watching it, and then even more people standing behind the people sitting watching the big ass TV, and then people go, what's going on over there? And then that's what they do. So then they come, and then before you know it, there's a whole crowd. And then our team is trying to peel people off to go to other demo stations because, yes, now we buy two 60-inch TVs because it works so well, and because some other people figured it out and they started buying TVs, so we buy a second one because then none of them buy a second one. So now we have two tables and two TVs and two viewing stations, and people are constantly there because it's like walking in the mall and then pointing up and going, look at that. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. You do that, a whole crowd's going to gather around you and they're going to be like, oh, I see it. I see it. Look at that. Even when there's nothing there, because that's what happens. It's hype. So that's how you set it up. Big 8-foot table, sign like this on each side. Okay. You get these done there's all kinds of, you just type in standing signs and you'll find them. They're super cheap. Like these things are like $100 to get done. I think they're like super cheap. Then we have a big TV on the table. I told you how we get the TV. We get chairs and we put the chairs there. We schedule demos. That's how we succeed at events. Now, when we haven't done this, we've not succeeded. So my recommendation is that you do just what I actually suggested. The next thing you want to do, schedule an event or schedule emails to go out after the event. So you want to have a special, and I showed you our special. We give away some bonuses. We give away a discount. Now we don't even give away a discount, but we give away bonuses. Okay, here's an overview, and I'll make sure this flyer is available with this webinar in the back office as well, so you can see this is a demo. Okay, and then we've got order forms like this on our table as well. Okay, and the key is to get on stage, speak, tell everybody they can learn more. You'll show them how to actually get the results. So now when I'm speaking from stage, I'm up on stage talking about how they can actually succeed, what it is, the how to do it. I direct them all to the back. Hey, I don't have time to show you all the steps of building business credit today. So we've got a huge table. You'll notice we're the only ones with a big TV out there. Come in, schedule time to sit down. You could just grab a seat right there. We'll walk through and show you how our clients actually get these results. Okay, so now you're bringing people, driving people to your team, you or your sales team. They're going to that table to do actual demo presentations and set up an email sequence that triggers after the event as well. And that email sequence said, hey, didn't get a bunch of time to spend with you there. By the way, here's a little bit about what we do. Don't forget, if you want business credit financing, here's the special that we had. I'm going to give you through Friday because you didn't get a chance to buy. So now you have a second shot, a second bite at that apple. You're coming in, you're creating credibility here. You're coming in and creating urgency here and a second deadline, and basically saying, didn't get a chance to talk to you at the event, want to give you a chance to buy. Now you have until the end of the week. And then you need to have your sales team calling every single attendee. How do you get people into that email sequence? Well, remember, you scheduled demos. And because you scheduled demos, you also then got a whole list of people that gave you their name, phone number, and email to schedule those demos. Second thing, give away something for free. Give away something for free if they give you a business card. That's another great way to get a list as well. Okay, what can you give away? A million things. You know what we gave away this one? Bundt cakes. Yeah, we gave away Bundt cakes, which apparently are delicious, by the way, because I've never had one of those till this weekend. Fantastic. So Bundt cakes, iPad, whatever, give something away of value to get a business card, and then schedule people for demos. The other thing that you should do is on the bottom of your actual slides, you should give them the ability to text in. So they could text a code to a number to then get your slide deck, get bonuses, get a giveaway of some sort, give whatever you want to give. So here's mine. Grab your business credit building guide, text event to this number. This is set up through Fix Your Funnel. There's a million places, and I probably am not exaggerating. There's a million places you can set up SMS text messaging. There's a million marketing companies you can do it with, okay? But in this case, you're going to come in, you're going to set it up through Fix Your Funnel. They're going to text the word to a certain number, okay? And you can set that up through Fix Your Funnel. What happens? Fix Your Funnel please don't do this, by the way. Don't do this right now because you're not going to want to. If you do this, you're going to get on our events list, and then our sales team will call you and all kinds of crazy things will happen you don't want to have happen. But if you text this little word to this number, the very first thing it's going to do, it's called a text conversation, is then our text bot will say, hey, may I trouble with you for your first name so I could be polite? And you say Ty, and you say, hey, Ty, hope you're having a great day. What's your best email address to deliver your free guide? You type in the email address, it's okay. Here's the link to the guide. I just emailed it to you as well. It's pretty simple. So it's just a simple text conversation that you're saying, hey, may I trouble you for first name so I can be polite? Well, here's my first name. Okay, great. Well, what's your email address so we can send you that guide? Well, here's my email address. Now, remember, they're texting you. So I already have their name now, their phone, and their email. And then that automatically puts them on my list to get emails after the event. My sales team is calling every single attendee that we know of to the event, asking them how they liked it, asking us how we did, and then trying to make a sale. Guys, I can't tell you this enough. So many people think they do webinars and events and they make all these sales. And you know what? Maybe those people do. I don't know. That's not me. I've never been that guy. I'm the guy that does webinars and does events, and very few people buy until then we do a push at the event, or we then do follow-up. It's the follow-up that makes the sales. Following up with all attendees after the event is what makes the sale. So you need to have that second run. We call that cleanup. And sometimes cleanup week can make the same amount of money as we made at the event. Calling every attendee, hey, still giving you through Friday, get those bonuses, still giving you through Friday to get that discount. I know you wanted to at the event, but you got tied up, I got tied up. So let's do this. What other questions do you have? Let me help you individually. You saw the demo, and we walked through it. So what are we doing at the event? Well, here's my new pitch deck at the event. Same one I talked to you guys about last week, I think, when I did webinars. It's all in your presentation section of your back office. There's a how to build business credit if your EIN not linked to your social. There's this one too, the funding blueprint. This is what I used, okay, to do it. I'm not going to go through this. I went through this whole thing last week, but you'll know that I don't teach the how to do it. This is all about credibility, This is improving your fundability. I don't tell them how to improve any of their fundability. Okay, I come over here and I'm talking about this business credit, showing them all the results, but I don't show them any of the steps. I talk about all the financing that's available in the world for them, but I don't talk about how to get any of it. And then I say, oh, I'm out of time. I don't have time to show you anything else. But if you want the exact steps to build business credit and exactly what you need to know about fundability and exactly how to get all this financing, well, our guys are right outside the room. You can't miss us. We're the only ones with a big ass TV. Okay, so stop out there, schedule a demo, and we'll walk through and show you how our actual clients got these results. Remember all these results and testimonials that I showed you? Well, I'm going to show you, not in theory how this works, but our clients actually succeed in all these areas. And all you have to do to succeed is you just have to go meet us in the back, and then we'll go through that with you. That's pretty much what I do. Now, I always bring a bunch of presentations. Many of these are available in your back office. This is for credit repair. We'll even get into it. 20 differences between consumer and commercial credit. Okay, 20 easy ways to get business financing. Business credit 101. Business credit scoring. Okay, how to get 250,000 in business credit, and then this has nothing to do with business credit, it's just entrepreneurial. And I suggest that you do the same thing. I always show up with 3 to 5 presentations at least. I usually now show up with 7 presentations to 10. And then you know what I do? I go to the event host and I go, hey, I just want to let you know, a lot of crazy things are happening. People might not show up. I have about 10 presentations I brought just in case. If you want me to talk about credit scoring, if you want me to talk about business financing, if you want me to talk about entrepreneurial stuff and some of the stuff that we've used to build, an 8-figure business, I have presentations on all that. So you give me a 30-second notice and I'm on that stage while I'm putting my mic on, ready to go, and we're on. And I can't tell you how many event hosts have come to me and go, dude, I need you. This guy something just happened. His plane didn't come in. He's supposed to be on stage in 10 minutes. I don't know what to do. No big deal. I got you. I got what do you want me to pitch on? Here's 7 things I could talk about. And then they're like, talk about that. Boom. Presentation to audio video guys. I'm ready. Mic me. Let's go. And then I'm ready to go. So again, what's nice is to always have extra presentations with you, and many of these are available in the back office. So then that way you tell them, I'm here to help you. And then guess what? Afterwards, they're like, dude, you saved my ass. And what just really happened? You just got a whole hour-long extra speaking spot that you would have spent thousands of dollars to get, and then they owe you a favor as a result of it, right? Now, I'm not big on owing favors, right? I'm the king of give, and ask nothing in return, because I found in my life the rare case that I actually do need or want something or need to ask for a favor, which is extremely rare of me to do, people step up in groves to help me because I'm not that guy that asks for help. Right? But I am saying that you're doing them a solid. So even though you're getting the benefit of an extra presentation, you're also doing them a solid. So it's kind of like they almost owe you at the same time. Now, again, take that with a grain of salt. I'm not really big on people owing me, but you see what I'm saying there, okay? So bottom line is bring extra presentations as well. Now, you also need to anticipate that at these kind of events, what's going to happen is you're going to do really well. You're going to get a bunch of activity the minute you get off stage, okay? You then need to continue to work it until the last day, and that's when a lot of people are going to buy that last day. A lot of people are going to be telling you up to that point that they're, wanting to buy but they're waiting to the last event. They're making sure there's nothing else that comes up that they want to spend their money with. Maybe they're not ready to buy. Maybe they're jerking you around, but a lot of people will get to that last day and they will buy. How I do this is very simple. When I'm in an event, I am constantly talking to people. I believe in a two-person approach. Some person's at that booth to present and close, and my whole job is to prospect. And I'll tell you how I prospect. If you've ever seen me in an event, it's the exact same way all the time. I go to the line the very first time that people are registering. I start at the beginning of the line or back of the line, and I talk to every single person in that line. Hey, what's your business? Where are you from? Awesome. Talk about where they're from. What are you hoping to get out of this? Awesome. Okay. I talk to every single person who they know who I am. They don't even know. Half the time I meet people and start talking to attendees in elevators, and they come up and go, oh my gosh, we rode the elevator together. I didn't know you were a speaker. Yeah, I'm a speaker. I don't make a big deal about it at all to anybody that I'm a speaker. They give me a speaker name tag. I take it off and throw it away. I don't even want anybody to know I'm a speaker. I want to be one of them. So I want to be right there with them, and I'm comfortable with them, and I want to make sure I talk to everybody in line. When the sessions are going on or in between sessions, I'm in the event room, walking down the rows, talking to every single person in every single row until the next session starts, then I leave. Session's out, I'm back in that room, starting on the next one. How's it going so far? How you liking this? What have you got? What's the biggest lesson you've learned? Okay, I just want to go through and meet people and talk to them. And in that conversation, a lot of cases, they'll say, well, what do you do? I say, well, I help, businesses like you offer business credit. Oh, I want to learn more about that. Okay, well, you've got a chance right now. I'll take you out and introduce you to my team. And I will sit there and walk people out one by one to the booth. That's what I do. Okay, I still do it to this day. I'm in the room when the event's in session. I'm talking to people, bringing them to the booth one by one. If you're not there and you have salespeople, I recommend the same approach. One salesperson's lining them up. The other salesperson's knocking them down by doing demo presentations, selling and closing. Okay, and that's the way I've always found it to be very, very successful. It drives me crazy when my guys sit around at the booth and wait for people to come by. I will not even let them come to the next event if they do that. You need to be out talking to people in front of the booth, having a good time. The next event we're going to do, we're all going to have signs that say slow motion zone. Not my idea, got it from Universal Studios, thought it was hilarious. Everybody that walks through that area has to do it all in slow motion. It just gets people laughing. It gets people smiling. It gets people to know that your area of that event is fun. It's lighthearted. You have a good time. That's what you really want to do. We've had games there before. We've had beanbag tosses and hula hoops, and we've made the whole thing into a huge spectacle and event. And then everybody wanted to be around our booth because it was the fun place to be. Just like this time, bundt cakes everywhere. Everybody wanted to be there because everybody gets bundt cakes. Okay, so again, make it a spectacle, make it an event. Okay, stand on a chair and yell out if you can to people. Okay, make yourself known there at the event. Talk to people, bring people out. And in a lot of cases, if people aren't asking you what you do, then they'll come in and you'll talk to them about how their day is, how they're liking the event, and you'll move on. And then when they see you on stage, they're like, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's an expert in that field, and he was super cool. He just came and just talked to me and hung out for a while. It all gives you more credibility. So that pretty much wraps it up. I've told you what to do, how to find the events, how to vet the events. I've talked to you about what to present at the actual events. Okay, I am not a big stage speaker. Okay, the rule of thumb is that you are on stage when you build authority. You are off stage when you are trying to build close bonds and relationships with people. I don't like to be on stages. And I've quite honestly found that audiences like me better in the audience mixing with them. This last time around when I went on stage, I said I was on stage. They introduced me. I got off. I said, I hope you don't mind. I'm short. You might not be able to see me, but you know what? I feel better down here with you than I do on this stage. And everybody erupted in applause. I don't do it for applause. I do it because I genuinely feel more comfortable down there talking to people at their level than I do on a stage talking down to them. Just me. But the rule is when you get up to sell and close, you should be on that stage. That's what gives you authority. And then you're down on the audience, down with the audience when you're building a camaraderie with them. So that's it. We talked about where to go to get the events, the kind of events, how to focus on niches. We've talked about what to look for to schedule the events, what you're looking for when you pay, what prioritizes the money. It comes down to speaking, the most speaking that you can get. We've talked about signage. We talked about how to set up your booth, how to work the room. Whew, I think we've went through just about everything. But if I missed anything, then go ahead and type them in. Do you have any other questions of anything I have not yet answered? Go ahead and type them in. I want to get this answered. A lot of these presentations are in the back office. I'm going to get our flyer in the back office as an example, and the questions and stuff you can ask as well. I'm going to get that in the back office for you as well, so you could use some of that stuff as examples when you do your own event. But again, if you're doing your own event, I'll probably do another webinar on hosting your own event, because I know Leo had some questions along that. But this was more about just going and speaking at events. Now, set a budget. This gets out of hand and very expensive very quick, so you really need to set a budget. Like I said, you may want to send somebody as exploratory to check out an event before you pay for it first. If you're going to pay for an event, my advice is send a skeleton crew. Send as few people as you can to get the job done for your first event to see how it goes, then staff up the next events based on how busy it is. And even then, you may go to one event that's busy and say, I need more people next time. You staff up, they didn't market it right, and then you needed less people, and that's happened too. Okay, we did that at Accredited Boot Camp. They actually marketed 1 year. It was great. We brought 3 sales guys the next year. They didn't market, and we sent 1 home within the first hour of the event because we knew it wasn't going to be a good attendance. So it's okay to send a skeleton crew. You're better off to do it that way than you are to send too many people and have too much upfront cost. Okay, and Leo says, please do a seminar as to how to set up a private event. I will. I'll do a webinar on that. Maybe in a few months. And I'm saying that because we're hosting our own first event in January. So it would actually, what I'll do, I'd like to do these based on what's really going on in our world. The reason I did this today is because we just came off of an event and it wasn't great, but we did pretty well. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to sit and tell you about everything that we did that worked and didn't work. We're going to host an event in January, and then you're all going to be invited. We're going to have a small private group of partners, probably only 25 partners we're going to have there. But the nice thing about it is all our team will be there. Our advising team will be there. Our finance team will be there. You're going to come down here by our local office and meet a lot of our local team. And then that'll give me experience to come in here and teach you guys, this worked, this didn't work, this is what we found, this is what we didn't find. Here's how to negotiate the contracts. I'll go through all that with you, Leo. I think that's a great suggestion. I'm going to wrap this up. If you have any other questions, reach out to us and let us know. But now you know everything you need to know to get in there and start attending and speaking at your own events. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'll talk to you. I won't be here next Tuesday. I think our finance team will be here in my place. I will be in Columbia next Tuesday, but I will see you the week after that here on our weekly coaching webinar. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.